Give me a minute. I want to respond to my friend Bermuda's question here because it's a good question. And it's one that we should take some time to understand the answer to. The question is, are the frozen Russian assets really Russian government money? I thought that money was seized from the oligarchs that looted Russia, which live in the West. And there's an important distinction to be made here. The money that you hear talked about all the time, the 324 billion in frozen assets, that is public Russian central bank money. It is not private money. It is not, sure, lots of oligarchs have been sanctioned. Lots of oligarchs have had their money frozen in the West, and a lot of them are fighting it in court. They've had their yachts seized. I think the U.S. spent $23 million so far in curating the seized yachts. Like why we don't sell them, I don't get it. But anyway, that's all private money belonging to the oligarchs. But here's the thing. A country like Russia needs to keep some of its money in foreign asset reserves, right? Foreign capital asset reserves. These reserve currencies are currencies that hold their value. They are not, they're not subject to sudden devaluation, sudden inflation, sudden loss of value. And those currencies include the United States dollar, the British pound, and the euro. Those are the world's reserve currencies. And so governments like China, what do? We often hear, right, China owns so much of U.S. debt. Oh, bullshit. That's not a problem. That's an advantage. It's an advantage. China buys U.S. Treasury bonds. The U.S. pays on those Treasury bonds every year. It's not as good as it used to be, but we have a good credit rating because we've never once not paid on our debts. So what the Chinese are doing, what the Russians do, is they hold money in U.S. dollars as a hedge against inflation, as a support for their own currencies, as a way to do trade in international dollars, right? Does that make sense? And so that 324 billion in frozen assets you hear all the time, that's the Russian government's money. There are lots of individual oligarchs whose money has been seized too. And, you can look them up at the U.S. Treasury Department, right? There's a reason why sanctions regimes are made by the U.S. Treasury Department, because it's all about the money. It's all about the dominance of the U.S. dollar in the world as the world's reserve currency and the U.S. banking system, which runs the global banking system, let's be honest. If you don't want to have your access to U.S. markets and U.S. banking interfered with, then you simply cannot go against the United States, or else this is the kind of thing that comes down on you. Now, fortunately, so far, the United States has not been an autocracy. We haven't used this power for evil, let's say, right? But the fact is, it could easily be turned to evil. You look at the sanctions regimes that are in place against the countries that they're in place against, and what you find is that those countries tend to be autocratic nations that abuse human rights in their own nations. Or they are imperialistic in their ambition, like Russia, and wage war against their neighbors and occupy their neighbors' territory. So, and I could be wrong. There could be good examples of the U.S. abusing this power, but I'm not aware of them at this time. If anybody would like to enlighten me to some, please do so in the comments, because I know the U.S. has a bad reputation in the world with a lot of folks. But to the best of my knowledge, we have never used this power for our own economic gain, for example, right? Like, look, we're the US. We want to make money. We want everybody to make money. When we cut deals, we want them to be win-wins. You make some money, I make some money. Hey, they make some money. Hey, those people are happy with that, what they got. Hey, we're all happy, right? That's how we're supposed to be. And generally speaking, I think it's how we are. So, Bermuda, I hope that helps. Let me know if the distinction is still unclear or if you have other questions. Thanks.